Ambassador, I want to pick up on a point that Andrea made, which is the United States relationship with Israel. As you know, President Biden is getting some pressure from within his own party to do more to pressure Israel to have a ceasefire. There are these very sensitive diplomatic talks happening right now that would essentially cease military operations and include a release of the hostages. How likely is it that we will see movement on those talks, given how complicated and complex they are?
Well, I think it's very unlikely. I don't think you should, not I'm implying you are, but underestimate the pressure Biden is putting on Netanyahu, unprecedented in the U.S.-Israel relationship, I think, to break Netanyahu's resolve. And they may succeed at that. And everybody understands the humanitarian concern about the hostages. But I will put it very directly. Are the hostages more important than the cause of this conflict? Not whether there's a wider war, not what happens in Gaza, but what is the fundamental cause that got this started? The answer to that's Iran. Mm-hmm. If we don't deal with that cause today and people find Iran's behavior objectionable, how much more objectionable will it be when Iran gets nuclear weapons? So I think the administration is making a mistake by torquing two already very complicated situations into one, dealing with the biggest threat to peace and security in the Middle East, which is the government in Tehran, and the Arab-Israeli issue, which has been going on for 75 years without a solution.
There's also, obviously, the discussions that are going on to get the hostages released. And then there's this broader diplomatic dance going on, if you will, to try to strike a deal between Saudi Arabia and partners in the region. Those talks effectively fell apart after October 7th. We know that they have tried to resume those talks, and the broader goal there is pressuring Iran, exactly as you're saying. And I've been talking to sources who are familiar with some of those talks. They say we haven't given up hope on the talks yet. But realistically speaking, how can that type of broad deal get done against this backdrop?
Well, I think part of it would be facing up to the reality in the region. And I think many of the Gulf Arab states believe correctly that Iran is the basic problem here. I wish they could say that more publicly. What's happening, what began in Gaza, is not an Arab-Israeli war. It's not a Palestinian-Israeli war. It's an Iranian war against Israel. This is their ring of fire strategy. And I think given that the Gulf Arab states in particular appreciate that their strategic situation vis-a-vis Iran is very close to Israel's. That's why these Abraham Accords have been facilitated. That's why the Saudis were in discussion. That strategic reality not only has not changed because of these hostilities, the underlying convergence of interest has been proven by the hostilities.